YouTube. So we're back. Been doing a little bit of prep work for the exhaust, removing old gasket. Since I can't find just a pre-made, prefabricated exhaust gasket for my exhaust, went ahead and bought this Mr. Gasket. Part number is number 77. That's 77, and it's a 10 by 10 designed for exhaust. Just cut it out. I don't know if you can see that here. I had got new bolts and cut out that exhaust gasket for here on the downpipe and to connect to the rest of the remaining exhaust. So I'm going to go ahead and work on the oil cooler sill, and I'm going to try to give you a really good clip of that. It's kind of difficult to show with the camera I have, but see what we can do. We're going to replace that, put a new oil filter on, and we'll be done underneath the car for now. Just waiting on the ESP, explicit speed, performance. Waiting on that part. As soon as we get those parts in, we'll be able to put the button the car back up, and then we can start on the top side, get the valve cover back in, and so forth. So if you're sticking around, got plenty of stuff coming up. I'm going to try to get you a couple videos in the next coming weeks. I've got a lot going on, and hopefully get the car done by the end of June. That's the goal. So stick with me and we'll see what we have. Thanks. Alright, so we're getting ready to go into the car. A couple tools you're going to need. You're going to need a 30mm socket deep well, 1/2-inch wrench. Goes with my 30mm. And then here's the part number on the oil sill itself for the cooler. This is OEM, Honda. I have not found a company that makes a aftermarket oil cooler sill. Now I went ahead and removed the oil filter and let that drain out, and then I disconnected the, get a shot here for you. I went ahead and disconnected the electrical to the sensor for oil pressure, to the ECU. So this plug here, went ahead and removed that, set the screw to the side. Now right there, you're going to have to put the 30mm on there and crack it loose. I believe it's 54 or 56 foot-pounds. So just remember that, and I'll verify that and place that on the screen. So let's see what else we're going here. I'll go ahead and we'll get that crack loose. Let me reposition my camera. This is kind of a bad angle. Alright, so 30mm. Went ahead and cracked it loose with a breaker bar, just because it is 54 foot-pounds. So it should be relatively easy to remove at this point. And you might get some oil seepage coming out of it. So I have a rag down here in the event. Now, you've got an inlet and an outlet for your coolant lines, which is what's designed to be a heat transfer. Take the heat out of the oil, pass it over to your coolant. So wouldn't be surprised if I get a little oil coming out of it. I did not clamp or remove the coolant lines. I'm just going to set this right here on a clean rag. And then you can see here. Now I replaced this about, I don't know, 5,000 miles ago, because I had one of these crack on me and just spew its lovely oilness all over the place. And that's why the underbelly of this bad boy is so dirty. So at this point, it's best to get yourself a pick and remove the old sill, and then go ahead and place the new one in its position. And I like to wipe down the surface area where it mounts to, and then I'll just go ahead and put that back in and tighten it back down to the 54 foot-pounds. So I'm going to go ahead and get that sill replaced. Unfortunately, I can't really do it with the camera in my way. All right, so I just removed, I think I can do this with the camera. I just used a pick, and I was able to pick it out and bring it to the ground. It's actually in pretty good shape. I mean, the whole thing, it's like I said, about 5,000-6,000 miles on it. Now, you don't have to replace it that often, but I'm here and I'm doing some improvements. I'm going to ensure that it's new and fresh and ready for some more abuse. So I'm just taking a rag, wiping down the area for the new sill. If I can do this, this camera's a little bit in the way, so I apologize if I block the view. Looks fairly clean. So we're gonna go ahead and let's see if we can do this. We're gonna go ahead and open this up and wipe my hands on the clean rag. I don't want to get no cross contaminants. It's not exactly the easiest thing to do. So I'm gonna go ahead and I might have to move my camera a few times. Here's the new sill. It should fit in there fairly nice and snug. They are a pain. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the video because apparently I can't see really anything where I'm at. I want to make sure I get it in the right spot. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the video. And all right, what I found that works really good is placing the sill inside as best you can, and it wants to fall out. Try to keep it back, and then so the sill's in there now. I've got the sill inside the oil cooler housing, so hopefully you can see that. So what I found that worked best was placing the sill in, even though it's not 100%, and then cupping up against the housing of the block here, and feeling it just fall into place as I set it. And then I pushed a little bit to help it stay where it's at. And then I was able to, boom, take it off and verify it's perfectly where it should be. So now that I'm confident that it's in its correct spot, and that's what we want, we'll go ahead and I'll verify that the bolt is good and clean. There's nothing from the ground or from the rag. So I'll go ahead and I'm going to place that in, and then I'll line it up. and that seal should just stay. And we'll go ahead and tighten this up. So remember, that is 54 foot-pounds, 30 millimeter. So I got it hand tight, verified that the seal's in. We'll go ahead and get that torque wrench out. We're going to get 54 foot-pounds. All right, I went ahead, got my 30 millimeter socket and my torque wrench. Kind of hard with this camera in my way. Make sure you get a good bite on it. You don't want to strip this, so it doesn't have much meat on that bolt. All right, there's 54. I'm going to verify. 54. And one little snug to verify. All right. Oil cooler seal is in place. Not the easiest job. I've got the vehicle lifted up pretty high. If this ever happens, you'll recognize it from the huge amounts of oil that have gone everywhere, either down your driveway or down the road. Your oil pressure is completely gone. It's worth every penny to replace that for $6, $3, $4, $5, whatever you can buy it at. Replace that part when you're doing something underneath this car. Transmission, I'd say that they only last about 100,000 miles, depending on the abuse you put on your motor. Go ahead and get you one and have a good time replacing it. So a little tip, something I like to do, regardless of what brand you're buying, if you found one on sale for oil filter, I know it's hard to fill these up so you can get an instant prime, but I go ahead and I fill this up about halfway, and then as I sit here and I rotate it, I let all the air get and let the filter material saturate in oil. And I've already put this probably, I don't know, a few ounces in it. And I know that on some vehicles you go straight up, you can fill it up, and you have an instant oil to your very necessary parts. So I know that these Hondas, a lot of them are at the side, but I've already put a few ounces in here and it's already saturated. You can tell there's some in there. A few ounces. I'm going to keep filling it just a little bit at a time. And then at the point where I can leave it like this and it's about ready to come out, I'm going to stop. I'll let it saturate and I'll double check it. And then I'll install this. I'd rather have a half full oil filter ready to go on the vehicle to get oil to those very important components as soon as possible. This car has been sitting here for a couple months now, deprived of what it needs. It wants to run, and I want to give it good oil right away as soon as possible. So regardless of what oil filter you guys are using, OEM, Fram, STP, Bosch, Mobile One, it's best to put a little oil in these and let it saturate so that you can get at least something sooner rather than later. All right, so that's all the tips I have for that oil cooler seal, and then for the oil filter. Hopefully that'll help you out. If you have any questions, concerns, or comments, leave them in the comment section below, and I'll get you on the next video.